RPGaDay 2026, Day 8. So, this time in our world building exercise, I'm going to talk about one of the three area themes that I rolled up the last time: Starfall Recovery, Return of the Shadows, New Folk Emerge. And I'm starting off with Starfall Recovery. Now, this one potentially has almost a potential connection to everything, depending on how long ago it took place. For example, it could be how the Elder Titan or the god Harugek or even maybe the Death Slod came to Earth, or to the prime material plane rather, to Earth as in the ground. It could, I think the most obvious thing is that the energies from a star in a fantasy realm is probably what gave the Iron Golem its intelligence, its sentience. And there could be connections to the new folk. There could be connections to that are emerging, the shadows that are returning. So just a variety of connections. You have the city ruins and the village ruins that are the layers of two of the respective factions. So obviously one of those or both of those could have been caused by the Starfall. Could have been caused immediately, obviously, with it hitting nearby or within it, or it could be as an effect of the star being fallen. Again, talking about the magical equivalent of, say, radiation. Now, I think that because the golem, the golem, the titan, the god, the bugbear god, have had time to assemble factions around them, means that it probably happened a while ago. So that leaves the potential for other things to have occurred over the long term, again, because this is probably a source of great power, possibly from the positive material plane, possibly from the astral plane, perhaps a mixture thereof. And what I've opted to go with is to make it almost a universal MacGuffin, something that virtually every group could have interest in, so that Starfall Recovery is a point of friction in this world. So we're going to start with the fact that it is generating some type of energy, that it has an unseen. Well, let's start off with that it fell to the prime material plane. It fell to this region of this world, and it slammed into a hill at the edge of the foothills. That slamming into the edge of the hill is what created an effect on the other side of the hill that ended up damaging the village sufficiently that it was abandoned, that became village ruins that the Iron Golem later took effect in. And that sitting on the edge of this section of foothills is where the ruined city was. Back then, obviously not a ruined city. And this is where the Iron Golem was. So that the strike, the star falling nearby is what generated that sentience, that intelligence within the Iron Golem. And because that made it unusual for a golem, it kind of retreated sort of from society, because the city was still ongoing. Perhaps the Iron Golem was there as some kind of defender, some kind of protector. And when it started acting on its own, people grew scared, and it had to leave. And it ended up in the foothills, in the village ruins, and began acquiring this faction around it. So now we'll go to more of the features of this star, this fallen star. It has an unseen type of energy, but it's not necessarily a radiative energy like radiation or light or what we know of as things on the electromagnetic spectrum, but it acts more like water. It fills an area, but it has a positive charge, like a life energy charge almost to it. Again, I'm thinking related to, if not directly from, the the positive material plane from AD&D, which is the antithesis of the negative material plane, which powers a lot of the undead type creatures. And so what it does is, over time, it fills the life around it and essentially burns it out. And that's what's caused the city to be ruined, because the city is nearby, and over time it was ruining the crops around it. It was ruining the trees around it. That's why the region that the city ruins are in is a desert now, because any kind of life form that comes in there is eventually this energy flows into them, and initially it may power them up, but eventually it causes such great damage that it's like cells bursting from having too much water in them. So now we have this energy just kind of infiltrating out through the area. Now it's reaching beyond the city ruins, more into the countryside, and starting to affect the hamlet, which is the lair of the Elder Titan, because one of the complication for the Elder Titan faction was it had spoiled supplies, and the action was warning about an illness. And these are two things that could be caused by this energy starting to affect the hamlet itself. It's not to the point where it's completely destroying things, but things like food and other supplies are being damaged by it, so they're worthless, and it's caused some type of disease to develop, and it may be directly related to from being filled with this energy, or it may be from something different that is just being created by something being filled by this energy. I also thought this type of energy might have an effect on strengthening or weakening barriers, depending on the type of the barrier, that could be affecting our more celestial, that is, other planar creatures. For example, the death slot. Death slots are supposedly only 4 of them, so they're very powerful slots, and they can kind of travel the planes at will. The Elder Titan, obviously, from another plane, and the Bugbear God from another plane. The morale of the Bugbear God faction is surrendered, and that could be that this god was cast out, and now it's imprisoned on this plane, and it has essentially surrendered, returning to that godly realm. The Death Slot, same way, could have been trapped somehow on this plane, and the Elder Titan as well. And because this is, related to the positive material plane, perhaps this is weakening the barrier around the Elder Titan, that it may eventually be able to return, or perhaps if it gets to the star, it can use that energy to weaken the barrier completely, that they can return, whereas it's strengthening somehow the barrier between Harukik and the Death Slot returning to their realms, and so they could be seeking out to try to counter it or destroy it. And the last thing is the Beholder. Its faction, its advantage is Animal Companion. I rolled up a giant porcupine as one of the Beholder creatures, so I think perhaps this star also affected the porcupine as well, and I'm thinking it's developed something similar to what the Beholder has with its multiple eyes, with multiple powers. It does the same thing with its spines, although they're slightly weaker, and it shoots them out to activate them, and then it takes time for those to regenerate, but still would have a lot more of them. So those are all the ways. You can see that I've connected to pretty much everything except for the vampire, but I think there could be a connection as well there as to how it affects undead type creatures, but I'm going to save that for when I discuss the area theme Return of the Shadows. So thank you for listening. I hope you're enjoying the RPGaDay 2026. Great content that's out there. I know I am. And again, thank you for listening.